Okay. If everybody can everybody hear me? Good morning. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, or today, I guess. I'm Matt Earhart, and I serve as president of Penn State's Ag Council. The Ag Council is an industry group that advises the College of Agriculture on research, extension, and education needs. Before we get to the issue at hand today, I'd like to introduce the rest of the speakers. We have Jim Shirk, who's a member of the Ag Council Board and member of the poultry industry. We have Brad Hollabaugh, who is a fruit grower from Adams County, representing the State Horticultural Association of Pennsylvania. Madison Shaw, who is representing our 4-H students along with all her cadre up here on the stage. Dean Rick Roush from Penn State College of Agriculture. And Chairman Causer, who from the House Ag and Rural Affairs Committee, who I'd like to express our gratitude for helping us schedule this event. So we're here today to discuss a crisis that's no longer looming but imminent. We're on track to be the first state in the nation to sever the land-grant partnership, resulting in the closure of Penn State's College of Agricultural Sciences research and extension programs in all 67 counties. It's unimaginable that anyone would have to say that sentence. Again, we're on track to be the first state in the nation to sever the land-grant partnership. To be at this point indicates just how broken our system is that we can't get this funding in place. The Land Script Fund in the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture's budget represents the state's financial commitment to the land-grant partnership. It was part of the governor's line item veto, leaving the college with no state funding since July 1st. The loss of this $50.5 million in funding will trigger a loss of an additional $22 million in USDA funding, approximately $56 million loss in competitive grant funding, and approximately $13 million lost from county funding. We'll lose extension offices and experiment stations, and teaching and research capacity at University Park. In all, a direct loss of over 1,100 jobs and $141 million, and the induced losses reach much further, to over 2,000 jobs, over $280 million, 92,340 program members, and over 9,500 volunteers. With no end to the budget impasse in sight, the university can no longer carry the financial obligation of the land-grant partnership. If this funding isn't resolved by May 1st, the College of Agricultural Science will be forced to shut down these operations. The dominoes will begin to fall and the irreversible consequences to the college and our programs begin. Today you'll see hundreds of 4-H participants and other supporters here to support this funding at the Ag budget hearing. These passionate folks understand that 4-H and Extension are critical conduits for introducing our youth to agriculture and setting the path for the next generation of ag to supply our needs for food, fiber, and energy. If that pathway disappears, the ripples will have a terrible effect on Pennsylvania's economy and food supply. We're all convinced that no one, Democrat or Republican, wants this to happen, and it's certainly going to take the support and action from both parties to get this done. This funding can no longer be a political football in the budget game that's playing out in our Commonwealth. We need immediate attention and leadership to restore the funding to the land script budget line before May, when the dominoes start to fall and the damage becomes irreversible. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jim Shirk, and I'm a member of the Penn State Ag Council, and I work in the poultry industry. I've been involved with the Ag Council for almost 20 years. Because of the work of the scientists and the educators in the Penn State College of Ag Sciences, it's critical to the future of agriculture in Pennsylvania, as well as for all of those who we produce food for every single day. Agriculture today is complex. Food safety regulations, environmental regulations, biosecurity, specifically avian influenza, are very real issues and pose a direct threat to our food system and the economy of Pennsylvania. Facing those challenges requires research and then the translation of that research through extension to people on the ground, literally. One of the biggest threats currently facing the state is the introduction of avian influenza. I say the state rather than the industry because the potential economic losses of an AI outbreak in Pennsylvania will reach well beyond our producers into the processing plants, distributors, and all the related support industries. USDA has described the H5N2 high-path outbreak in 2005 as the largest animal health emergency in U.S. history. Nationwide last year, there were 48 million birds in 21 states affected, but Iowa and Minnesota were the most severely impacted. Fortunately, Pennsylvania has been spared so far, but we remain at high risk. Indiana recently experienced an outbreak earlier this year, and because of the plan and the expertise that they had in place, they were able to stamp it out with a minimal impact. Multiple Penn State personnel play key roles in the AI preparedness leadership, including surveillance, diagnostics, depopulation, bird disposal, biosecurity, etc. The Department of Agriculture has done a great job coordinating this AI task force, but you need to have all of these people stay in place to continue their work. For example, Dr. Paul Patterson is conducting new methods of ensiling for practical bird disposal that could not be more relevant. The Penn State Animal Diagnostic Lab plays a major role in the surveillance and detection of diseases, not only AI, but others that have tremendous economic impacts on the ag industry, such as E. coli. Food safety and meeting FDA news guidelines is a monumental task for all the food system. Extension plays a major role in informing science-based regulations, best practices, and training producers and processors, as well as the development of new standards. But Penn State Research and Extension is not only protecting today's agriculture, it's identifying and preparing the future through 4-H. This year, the college enjoys its highest enrollment ever. Our industry is starving for graduates, and the disruption of extension programs designed to expose prospective students to career opportunities in agriculture could cripple economic growth across many parts of the Commonwealth. I just returned from D.C., where I, along with other advocates from land-grant institutions across the country, were meeting with our federal delegation, seeking their continued support as partners in the land-grant system. Without state funding, Pennsylvania risks losing almost $80 million in federal funding, leveraged by our state's commitment to partnership. It is a strong return on the state's $50 million investment. This is a crisis. The partnership has existed for over 160 years for a reason. And once this infrastructure is gone, it can be gone forever.
Help him.
Huge. I'm sorry.
Keep him down.
Everybody else okay? Great. Very good. Bend your knees, stretch a little bit. Okay, great. Very good. This is a crisis. The partnership that has existed for 160 years for a reason. And once this infrastructure is gone, it can be gone for good. Huge challenges face our state exist in nutrition, health, food safety, and production. All of these areas have a common thread of agriculture, and it is critical that the college research and extension programs help find and share solutions. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Brad Hollabaugh. I'm an Adams County fruit grower, and I'm also a member, past board member, and past president of the State Horticultural Association in Pennsylvania. Penn State Research and Extension provides the very foundation behind the success and sustainability of the tree fruit industry in Pennsylvania. We've really come to depend on the current and relevant, very useful information throughout the season that is provided to us. And it's critical to understand that that information is believable and it's trusted. It's unbiased, we know it's subjective, and we appreciate it. SHAP, which is an acronym for State Hort Association, is in its 157th year of existence, almost as long as the land-grant university system itself. And we've developed a very positive and proactive public-private partnership with Penn State over the years. Our association has invested in excess of $2 million to date in research for Penn State Research and Penn State Extension projects. We're poised to invest an additional $250,000, or very close thereto, this year and in the future. This money is not state money, it's not federal money, it's grower money. Volunteers coming forward with money of their own to fund these projects. We've had a fantastic relationship, and that money has provided the seed money to many, many projects where grants have been able to be pulled from other state and federal resources. We consider the strong team at our fruit research and extension centers in Pennsylvania as the first responders to new pest issues. Brown marmorated stink bug is a very highlighted insect pest that is still plaguing us, and there's still ongoing research with this. And there are other very important issues that continue to face it, and we know that there will be new pests and diseases that we will face in the future. Food safety has become an incredibly important aspect of what we do and how we do it. We felt like we were poised just over a year ago to embark on yet one more positive relationship with Penn State University and probably get a person on staff who could help with this critical need for our association and our industry. Fire blight is a devastating disease pest of orchards. It's very critical to us at this time. There's ongoing research, and it has the potential to devastate the entire industry, not just here in Pennsylvania, but in the Mid-Atlantic region. If we lose our extension and our research programs, we truly all will lose. Our multi-year projects that are in the course of being funded and were planned to be funded will stop. New research will stop. Extension outreach will be hindered at the very least, and a lot of it will simply stop. We'll lose our edge in testing horticultural advances in our region of the country, and inevitably there's going to be a decline in the progressiveness of our industry. The loss of extension and research is just simply senseless.
Ask the kids if they want to sit. They're welcome to sit.
If anyone else
If anybody wants to sit, they're welcome to.
if you feel it all don't worry about what it looks like. Doesn't have to. Yeah.
All right. Well, this certainly shows the determination of our 4-H'ers that they're willing to take the stage. There are a lot of negativity. There's a lot of negativity right now around this issue, and there are tremendous negative impacts that thread throughout our entire community and our state and the region. And at least from the standpoint of the tree fruit industry, we implore the state legislature and the governor to get it together, get this funding done, and keep our rich programs in place. Thank you.
Hello. I pledge my head to clear thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living for my club, my community, my country, and my world. Hello, I'm Madison Shaw, proud 4-H'er from Dauphin County. What I just shared with you is our 4-H pledge. At the beginning of every 4-H meeting or function, all members, including parents and volunteers, stand to pledge allegiance to our American flag, then to go on to recite our 4-H pledge. Currently, the 4-H program is at risk of being erased. I'm here today to shed some light on why this program is so very important to so many people, many of whom aren't even 4-H'ers. You see, when we as 4-H'ers pledge our head to clear thinking, we are learning how to become better individuals who can apply what we have learned to many situations that life will hand us. When we pledge our heart to greater loyalty, we are learning how to best help and care for others. When we pledge our hands to larger service, again, not just thinking of ourselves, but for all members of our community. By pledging health, we are learning how to best care for ourselves, and so that way we can be our best. so that way we can recognize what is also healthy for others. Which brings me to our motto, to make the best better. With a network of more than 6 million youth, over 611,000 volunteers, 3,500 professionals, and more than 25 million alumni, 4-H helps shape youth to move our country and our world forward in ways no other youth organization can. We are making the best better with each goal we set for ourselves, each project we learn from and complete, each service project we volunteer for, and every leadership conference we attend. Sure, you may be thinking that's all well and good, but isn't it just for farm kids? No, 4-H is not just about cows, cows, and plows. 4-H is empowering youth with leadership opportunities, challenging us to try our hand at engineering, teaching us how to become involved in our community, and engaging us in ways to find our passions and talents, and helping us to learn the importance of strong work ethic. In fact, 4-H has projects for everyone: theater, leadership, fishing, hiking, biking, baking, cooking, sewing, art, and self-determined, and more. All along the way, we aren't just doing this to win a ribbon at our county fair. 4-H isn't about winning that blue ribbon. 4-H is producing blue ribbon youth to then become blue ribbon adults. Did you know that only 2% of the world is currently feeding and clothing the world? In 4-H, we learn how to contribute to that, respect that, be a part of it, and help improve it. In Pennsylvania, agriculture is our #1 industry. What will happen to that if we completely erase 4-H and Extension? Without 4-H, many college graduates wouldn't have the experiences that give them a leg up, like Joshua, who's about to graduate from Penn State with 15 job offers on the table. My friend Addison, who is looking forward to a career in nursing while helping those in less fortunate countries. My friend Madeline, who has already begun her 4-H gardening project by turning her family living room into a greenhouse. There's also my brother, who at the age of 16 became a master gardener and who is now finished with school and is well on his way to becoming part of the 2% working hard to feed and clothe all of us. Perhaps one that I'm most affected by would be my sister Ashley, who overcame a personal battle with anorexia by surrounding herself with the positive experiences 4-H has to offer. We've been in existence for over 100 years, grown, cultivated, and harvested many accomplishments because 4-H is that important. We need the 4-H program to educate the urban areas and inner city schools. My own family has spent countless hours volunteering to take our animals and farm products into schools all over Pennsylvania. We are often shocked to learn how little is known about something so very important. We need to do more, but without 4-H and Extension, that won't happen. Please do not make the mistake of erasing such a positive, influential program that means so much to us all. I am Madison Shaw, and along with the past, present, and future 4-Hers, will continue to make the best better. Thank you.
Thank you, Madison. It's pretty hard to follow that. All parties in the current budget impasse have shown strong support for the College of Agricultural Sciences and the Cooperative Extension. The legislature passed a 9.3% increase, which was $4.3 million to increase our budget to $50.5 million for our Landscript Fund in 2015, which included $2 million for increased preparedness for avian flu and biosecurity. Governor Wolf has proposed an allocation of nearly $51 million for 2016-17. We are extremely grateful for all that support. However, amid the challenges of balancing revenue and expenditures for many priorities across the Commonwealth, the Landscript Fund, which funds cooperative extension or applied agricultural research, has been zeroed out. Also lost was some $2 million in funding for our animal diagnostic laboratory, which is a key contributor to preparedness for avian flu. We are grateful to Secretary Redding for moving to provide $426,000 of emergency funding to the Animal Diagnostic Lab to maintain our capacity for avian flu through June 30th. However, no land-script funds have been allocated to the college since July of last year. It's my aim to explain why this has put the college, and especially Extension, at great risk. Some historical context may help me do that. Other speakers have discussed why the college and Extension are so important to the people of Pennsylvania, and that message is emphasized by the strong support we see in the Capitol today. The concept of publicly funded agricultural educational institutions was recognized as so essential to the progress of America that the land-grant system was established in 1862, despite the turmoil from the outbreak of the Civil War a year earlier. Further developments in the land-grant system included the Smith-Lever Act of 1914, which established the Cooperative Extension Service and made 4-H possible, and the Hatch Act of 1887 that established a network of agricultural research stations across the nation. I've worked at agricultural universities and government for 17 years in Australia, a country with a highly productive and environmentally focused agriculture, and have extensively visited agricultural universities in 11 other countries. From those experiences, I can tell you firsthand that the U.S. land-grant system, which by statute links teaching, research, and extension in a state, federal, county, and university partnership, has contributed enormously to the success of American agriculture, jobs, health, the environment, and rural life, and remains the envy of the world. The financial partnership in Pennsylvania for 2014-15 included $46 million from the Commonwealth, $22 million in direct federal match of those funds, $56 million of grant funding that was competitively awarded to the college, mainly from the USDA, in large measure from the base support of the Land-Script Fund, and $13 million in support from the counties. All of this is at risk without the Land-Script funding. The financial partnership with the state and federal government has been and remains crucial to the funding of extension and applied agriculturally related research. Universities have a limited range of options of significant income streams, and Penn State is no exception. We cannot fund extension through tuition or some 99% of our endowments, which legally can be used only for the purposes specified by their donors. In good faith, Penn State University has since July 1st already covered more than $30 million of the state's part in the agricultural research and extension, with the assumption that there would be a timely resolution of the budget impasse and the funds would eventually be released for the college. However, with no relief in sight, that flexibility is rapidly being exhausted and can't be continued past June 30th. In order to control those costs, the college will need to start with layoff notices by May 1st, which will impact over 1,100 positions. This is not a decision made lightly. Of the 6 universities at which I've worked, I've never enjoyed more support from the senior management or my fellow deans for agriculture and extension than here. The college and our students are also affected by the much larger block of funding from the non-preferred bill, which has not passed the legislature, as discussed at hearings last Wednesday by senior executives of Pitt, Temple, Lincoln, and Penn State universities. The appropriations to the state-related universities provide the funding necessary for Pitt, Temple, Lincoln, and Penn State to reduce tuition for in-state students and thereby improve access to higher education. All supporters of these universities thus want to see the non-preferred bills pass. We have a particular concern about this at Penn State, because as a land-grant institution, we have a foundational tripartite mission of providing student access, along with research and extension, and supporting disciplines such as science and engineering. Thus, as Penn State Provost Nick Jones indicated last Wednesday, we continue to urge all parties to conclude an overall budget package that will fund Pitt, Temple, Lincoln, and Penn State as primary economic drivers in the state, and will not require large tuition increases or other measures. However, as vital as is the non-preferred funding is to student access and the excellence of our universities, the continued loss of the agricultural sciences land-script funds would eliminate extension and most of our applied agricultural research and greatly diminish the educational experiences of our students. Both the land-grant system and the Agricultural College of Pennsylvania were founded during the greatest strife in our nation's history. The name and activities have changed, but the benefits have endured and expanded. And as you've heard from some of our stakeholders here today, the needs are as critical now as they've ever been. Let's not risk losing that legacy now. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Martin Causer. I'm a state representative from District 67 in McKean, Potter, and Cameron counties, and I also serve as majority chairman of the House Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee. And I certainly want to thank everyone for the opportunity to join here today to advocate for programs that are truly the heart and soul of our agriculture industry. And I think first and foremost, we need to thank all the 4-H members that are here today. And I have to tell you, all the speakers so far have been great, but Madison has summed it up totally. So thank you so much. I do especially want to thank the Penn State Ag Council for putting this press conference together, and I want to thank all of you who have taken the time from your busy schedule to be here today. And also a special thank you to my colleagues in the House and Senate. As you can see, there's very clear and strong support in the legislature for agriculture programs. So I want to thank all of them for being here today. As we just heard from the other speakers, Pennsylvania agriculture would not be where it is today without the extensive research done at Penn State. The extension programs play a vital role in helping our farmers run productive, profitable, and competitive businesses. 4-H programs teach our young people about leadership and responsibility, and they help prepare future leaders in agriculture and beyond, such as urban community development and technology education. There's no questioning the value of these programs for our farmers, our communities, and our Commonwealth's economy. So why did Governor Wolf veto every single one of the $50 million we allocated for Penn State's ag programs? Well, I certainly cannot speak for the governor, but if I had to guess, I would say he sees the value in them as well. His veto, just like the ones impacting our public schools and hospitals, are part of his budget strategy. Unfortunately, this strategy by our governor could lead to tragedy if Penn State is forced to shut down these programs. Governor, it's time to release the hostages. That's why I've introduced legislation reinstating the more than $50 million appropriated to Penn State through the Land Script Fund in the budget that was passed by the General Assembly in December. I am hopeful the House will act on this legislation soon after we return to session next week on March 14th. I've also sponsored 2 other bills vital to restoring agriculture initiatives outside of Penn State. House Bill 1832 restores funding for the Hardwood Development Council, and House Bill 1589 amends the state's fiscal code to transfer $25 million from the Racehorse Development Fund to fund our veterinary laboratory system, our Animal Health Commission, agricultural fairs, the farm show, and also the state racing fund. Penn State's agriculture programs, other state agriculture initiatives, and all of the hardworking people who run our farms and make agriculture the state's top industry need not and should not be harmed by the ongoing budget debate. There are important issues to discuss relative to the future needs of our Commonwealth, but we cannot ignore what is needed today. And what is needed today, in fact, what is critically needed, is for the governor to support the release of funding for Penn State agriculture programs. Again, thank you for the opportunity to join with you today, and thank you to all of you who work so hard to support agriculture in Pennsylvania. Thank you.
So I'd like to as well thank all of our speakers here today, particularly all of our 4-Hers who are here supporting us, and perhaps most especially Madison, who perhaps in hindsight we should have just let Madison speak and call it a day. So thank you very much. And we'd be happy to stand for any questions from the floor. Yes?
Yeah, I have one for Rick.
Sure.
I believe that the Republican House Caucus said that when the Republican crafted budget passed, if it had been allowed to pass in full, if it hadn't been line item veto, it would have required some amount of tax increase, would have required new revenues to support the entire package. Now that didn't happen, obviously, line item vetoes. But to fund all these different things would require new revenues. Do you have any advice to the lawmakers behind you on that?
No, I'm an agnostic about it. I realize there are real challenges, as I alluded to in my remarks about how to do this. I'd like to point out that our $50 million is pretty small. I don't think that the budget, honestly, don't believe the budget dispute one way or the other will be settled. But the delay in actually addressing our particular $50 million is doing damage every day to the college and agriculture, and will do a lot more damage by the end of June.
To build on that also, it's important to point out there's $6 billion sitting in the state treasury, and we're talking today about $50 million. So there was no need for the governor to veto that funding, and the $50 million could be released immediately to help Penn State's College of Agriculture.
Other questions?
Any other questions?
Okay. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.